Hey there, Ghouls and Ghosts. Welcome to Seven Scorpion Tarot. I am your host with the most, and I want to welcome you to tonight's reading. So tonight I believe we're already in the full moon cycle for the full moon in Taurus. That should be uh, peaking tomorrow afternoon. I think it's around like 4 o'clock Eastern. Um, Something like that. And in a previous reading, I got fairly in depth into some Minotaur mythology. That was the reading on, what was it? I believe it was titled something like The Serpent Coils at the Center of the Labyrinth. That one definitely got really in depth. I remember getting into touching on like archetypal wounds and things like that. And we're having some uh, similar themes going on in just kind of the celestial weather with like what I would typically talk about with like the moon and Taurus and like the things coming to mind like the Minotaur and the Red Bull from The Last Unicorn. Those are the things that typically come to mind for me. Uh, but something else that is on my mind just since it's a full moon is werewolves for some reason. Um, just wolves in general too. I mean, I guess that's just a full moon theme. So I was thinking for tonight's reading, we do more of a like transformation. Like what is transforming in our psyche right now? So I don't really have any notes to go over with that since it's just going to be, on the fly. We're going to see how things go. So we'll see what's going on down the center line in the self, see what's transforming there, and then the personal unconscious, the collective unconscious, and ego and persona. So let's grab some cards and kind of see what's going on. Because this is a disruptive full moon from what I've been seeing in the chatter in the ethers. And if you're looking for good resources on astrology, on like the what's going on right now, I really like Chani Nicholas. I really enjoy. Uh, she's got an app, and she does like a weekly like astrology of the week ahead podcast, and she does another podcast like a longer form, down to Astro. That's really good too. So let's see. Let's see what's going on. What is transforming in the self? And then when I pull for the self, I do like the higher self or the authentic self, and then the root. What's at the root of self? And this is a new deck. This will be the first time I'm reading with it, actually. There we go. So that's a good card for pulling at the self. So it's the Six of Wands. So public victory. And it's like Jupiter and Capricorn are the, or is that Leo? I think that might be Leo. I think I read that wrong. Okay, maybe Capricorn is still on the mind with this last little bit. We've got just a few more days until Pluto goes into Aquarius out of Capricorn. So it wants to be heard for sure. So maybe with this transition of self and the overall celestial weather, there's some sort of victory coming with that. Maybe you're overcoming a difficult cycle, as many of the cardinal signs are. It's not going to be limited to them though, because this cycle that's closing out with Pluto started in 2008. There was a lot going on in 2008, just like economically and socially and all sorts of stuff. And it's weird looking at where things are at right now versus where things were at then. Um, a lot to reflect on over those years. And this new deck is really cool. I have another deck like this in English, but I wanted to learn the words in Spanish. So it's got like the keywords here for upright and in the reverse as well. The planetary and chakra associations, the zodiac, and if it's a yes, no, or maybe. I like to do that. Like when I was a kid, I would watch movies that I knew really well in English in Spanish or Japanese to try and pick up vocabulary. Worked pretty all right. Should start doing that again. Let's see what's at the root of self. And I'd also read the Six of Wands as a realized authentic self in this position. So many of us are buried by our circumstances that, oh, interesting, the world in reverse. But so many of us are buried by our circumstances that it really is such a personal victory to reconnect with that authentic self. So, the world in reverse. This looks like Saturn. And Saturn should be stationing direct soon. Next week, I think. Oh my god. Is Saturn stationing direct at the same time Pluto's moving? Oh my goodness. I'll have to double check that. But the number on the card here is 21, so 3. So that's I like to think of that as in kind of like a Cartesian way. It's a unification of mind, body, and spirit. And I think there's an interesting relationship between mind and spirit, and like even with the body too, because the body can exist without the mind or spirit, but the mind and spirit need the body. It's weird. There's a weird, like, catch 22 there. So the world came out reversed. So Let me see. Grab my book in English. It's the world. Your world was blocked by not being able to connect with that authentic self. Um, Reversed meaning. When reversed, the world shows that you are ready to move on but feel blocked or don't feel you are deserving of success. Ooh. It can also show hanging on to one ambition that eludes you. And if so, it's time to redefine what you want and adjust your expectations, as you may be clinging on to a dream to the exclusion of all else. Alternatively, you may feel eclipsed by another shining light. Overall, however, the negatives here are minor, and you will get what you deserve. It may just take a little longer to become obvious. In the meantime, keep the faith. I'm glad I pulled out the book that it pointed out that you don't feel, that you may not feel deserving of success. Like, after going through years and years of hardship, it might be difficult to fathom that that could be possible, that we wouldn't feel deserving of success. But it's almost like when you've been in survival mode for that long and then something different happens, your brain just kind of like, ah, like freaks out, you know? Ooh, Emperor upright and justice in the reverse. Huh. So, having the world in reverse at the root of self, maybe you're clinging to a goal that matches the self you've left behind or in the process of leaving behind, since this is, about transformation and you could be at any point in that process. Um, so just place it where it fits. That that idea is something that I've been struggling with. I'm going to start shuffling for a shadow card. Uh, but the whole, like, okay, I've connected with self. The heck do I want in life? Existential. And I don't want to get stuck in like analysis paralysis or clinging to a specific outcome, but I just kind of want to get an idea, like just an ish picture in my mind. And I think I've got one. And I think I actually have a few. Like, it doesn't need to be the one specific way, because I don't want to limit myself. The Lovers in reverse. So, choice. As I was rambling about different paths that might be able to be taken. Um, so, the choice card, Archangel Raphael. Um, I feel like Raphael. Is it Raphael? Oh, because I think it was Gabriel who came to Mary in a dream and said, "Be not afraid, for you had found the favor of God." I can't remember where Raphael shows up. Um, so this was in the personal unconscious position. So analysis paralysis. So getting stuck in that cyclical pattern of thinking of needs to go this way or that way, or like just pigeonholing yourself into possibilities. Labeling things is limiting yourself. And I know how hard it is just to open yourself to possibility, but that seems like the message here. Like the difficulty um, just in how to proceed. It's like letting go of expectations clears the path. That'll be the thing that moves this from a blocked energy into a flowing energy into the upright, to where maybe more choices, more potential paths are presenting themselves. I doubt the camera's going to pick up the bits, but just in case, they're covered by my chapstick. So let's grab a card for the ego. See what's transforming in more of the outer realm. Getting that one too. So, Hanged Man in reverse. So, new perspectives might be, might be blocked. I'm going to look up that reversed meaning, because the orientation always throws me off with the Hanged Man. And then the Three of Wands. Interesting. So I like how the Three of Wands is looking outward, like to the horizon. Really ignoring what's being left behind in the past. Or just maybe not even ignoring, but being unconcerned. Let's see. The Hanged Man. What number is that? 12? Is that a number? Another 3? Yeah. Okay. So 3 is. Oh, and Three of Wands. Okay. Threes might be important for some reason. Hmm. Do, do, do. Reversed meaning of the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man reverse can be a sign of rigid thinking and martyrdom. You may need to revise your expectations. What you think you want may not be possible. Really doubling up on that meaning of the World card in reversed. In this position, the card asks you if you are hanging on to a fantasy that may make you a victim rather than a victor. Take another view and liberate yourself from a contract or other obligation that cannot offer you what you want. So, a time of reflection and revision in the ego, as the contract doesn't have to be literal. It could be just something you feel obligated to. Could be social obligations, familial obligations, even relationship obligations. I think it's really important to note that it is okay to disappoint people. It sucks, like, avoid it if at all possible, but adults can handle disappointment. If you agree to a date or you accept a job offer and you give your 2 weeks and you go, you know what, this is not gonna work for me, I need to rescind my acceptance. Like, just try to give them as much warning as possible. It's not the end of the world. I think the path of disappointment is preferable to making yourself miserable out of principle. I'm just scanning the upright meaning for the Three of Wands. So it's talking about individuality and nonconformism. So more of that authentic self that was hard won, or that we've already transformed into, we're transforming into, but we're on that path. And the Three of Wands is auspicious in really, like, keeping your eye on the prize. And it also has a note here of appreciate too those people around you now, who are around you now, and try to make time for friends who don't immediately fit into your future plans. So while there may be a journey ahead, a path ahead, maintain those important social connections, the ones you've developed that have helped being the operative, get you to where you are now. Uh, and it's okay to, like, silently appreciate people that you don't talk to anymore and whatnot. Like, you don't have to reconcile literally with people, but reconciling with your feelings regarding social relationships, active, inactive, whatever. I think that would be beneficial here. Might be help move the hanged man into the correct position. I was gonna say that, like, the upright, but it's like I was saying, the orientation is weird. So grab a card for the collective unconscious. Might see what's a projection from ourselves and others that might be transforming right now. Something to look out for. Maybe in that might be reflected in others back unto ourselves that needs to transform or needs attention. That was distinctly sideways. So I'm going to read that as in motion. It's the Seven of Wands. So some conflict. I can definitely see that. Just with the overall current events, whatnot. But Mars and Leo, which I think is the active placement right now of that planet, and about to go into retrograde. I think it's direct right now. Something's happening. Um, but the Seven of Wands is like, because he's, up on a cliff and he's got one wand and he's fighting down the Six of Wands, like in a downward motion. So he's holding his position above the six. So there might be some challenges to the realized authentic self from maybe people in your past, people you no longer talk to, um, new people entering your life, even. Like the example that just came to mind is like, I like this video game, and then they're like, oh, name every character's blood type. Okay. It is okay to like things casually. You don't need to be an expert on everything you like. You can just like stuff for the sake of liking it. Um, and I think this is solar plexus, just as I notice my vocal fillers that I'm trying to Pavlov out of myself. Sort of. I guess I'm not really conditioning them with anything, but trying to train them out of myself, rather. Interesting. So this is potentially conflict that hasn't occurred, has yet to occur. Could be conflict we're ruminating on. It's no longer active, but our rumination on it breathes life into it. And no shame when it comes to rumination. I'm a ruminator. I totally get stuck in that cycle. I find strongly scented body products like lotions, body washes, shampoos. I like to use really minty stuff when I'm caught in a rumination cycle, like the eucalyptus spearmint scent. Really like stuff like that. Incense, candles, uh, essential oils, perfume oils too. Dab some on your wrist or like behind your ear, something like that. Like the behind the ear works really well because it's right like so close to your nose, then you're getting that smell really consistently. Cold things help, either on your skin or what are they called? Otter pops. I was having a hard time finding the word. Um, I like those because they're cold and they're crunchy and reasonably portioned. We'll get a card for the persona, or very outer layer to the external world. See what's transforming in that area. But in regards to rumination, something to bring you back to center. Sour mints help me a lot. And since I'm a millennial, I grew up in the breath mint gold rush. I hear that Altoids is bringing back their sour fruit mints. So I'm looking forward to that. Spicy candy too. I like that. The candy with like chili powder in it. Ace of Pentacles reversed. Lots of reversals today. Well, maybe that's why, things are transforming. So this looks like Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. Oh, yeah, Earth. So false starts is a theme that comes to mind with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Poor money management. And again, no shame, no shame. Going back to, living an extended period of time in survival mode, you develop bad habits in regards to finances. There's a really good article I read years and years ago, really poignant for a comedy site, but it was on cracked.com, and it was like the cost of poverty, or it was like poverty charges interest or something like that. Um, and the way the author went into detail about, like, you're so used to being strapped all the time that as soon as you get money, you spend it because it's immediately like going to go away, or you're conditioned to believing that because that's what you've experienced. And so you have to, like, while you have access to the resource, you have to make use of it, because if you don't, it's going to go away. And that's very much a trauma response. The psychological impact of being broke is so understated, so understated. And I don't know if it's just an active level of denial that we don't want to admit how bad things are, because then we would have to face those things, because it's tough looking in the mirror like that. There's also the tinfoil hat part of me, in that, like, the system, quote unquote, whomever, they, whatever, don't want us acknowledging the impact of poverty, because then we'll start demanding more of our employers, of like, hey, you guys need to actually pay us in such a way that matches what economies are designed to do, which is grow. If we're working in an economy that's designed to grow, the only logical thing would be that our salaries are also designed to grow. Because if they're not, now we're getting into, like, I don't like this term. I've heard it used before, but like slave wages, they're not wrong. I just don't like that term. Just because the really severe comparison that's being made. Not to say the wages aren't a problem, but I digress. Um, so could be attitudes towards money that are changing. Potentially, having that, like, conversation with your nervous system of, hey, it's okay. we have more resources than we feel like it's going to continue to come in. Let's take baby steps and start addressing this unhealthy money habit. Just do one at a time, you know. The how many or oh, what's that phrase I'm trying to think of? Why am I blanking on this? I've used this phrase like a million times. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. There we go. That's what I was trying to think of. Goodness gracious. This might have something to do with the current environment as well. I saw some some stuff about a new department being created, potentially, allegedly, run by a person that has something to do with a very boxy looking truck, allegedly. Oh my God. All my sensibilities just recoil in terror at that idea. Wow. But this is interesting. Interesting things are transforming within the self. And in such a, from what I understand, to be a disruptive full moon. And just ahead, like 10 days ahead of Mercury retrograde. Why is everything happening right now? I don't like this. Let's get some oracle cards. Saturn stationing direct. Mercury retrograde. Something's happening with Mars. Oh my God. We just need like a break. We need a collective, everybody take a week off. All at the same time. This is the Lunar Nomad Oracle. I went with the moon theme for the full moon. Is that just one? Yep. Letter 27. Maybe you're going to get a letter. Maybe you're going to write a letter to your representatives if you feel so inclined. But the number is 27, so it combines to a 9. This is a really, I want to say romantic card. Because it looks like she's sitting across kind of like a disembodied person a little bit. There's maybe pyramids in the background and some, like a vintage photo. Is that a corkscrew? Maybe. It's like a box. Maybe a cash register? A fan, like a fold-out fan. This looks like it might be an empty frame, but I kind of wanted to say scrying mirror. And then this kind of looks like Helios, the sun symbol, but there's one extra ring. So like a little target. Roma. Rome. cool card. It looks like Buffalo, so maybe New York. These are such pretty cards. That's like my favorite part of using this deck is just getting to see the art. So let's see what the book says. So this will be kind of the backdrop energy in the shadow side. Letter. Keywords. Correspondence, written words, written communication, documents, invitations. In the cool hush of night, a ghostly woman pours her sentiment into a heartfelt letter. Her need to express truth has pushed through the silence, and now she must write. Soon she will send this intimate expression of her deepest feelings and desires. Pour your heart out, express your feelings. You have something to say and someone to say it to. Words take on new life when given the space to live on the page. Heartache can turn to gold with the power of the pen. Writers know that words can heal. Locked inside, words become deadly ravens picking away at your vitality and strength. Set them free so that they can take on new life and meaning. Silence kills the spirit. Expression makes it soar. That's cool. So possibly this might be a good time to, write a letter that you'll never send to help process some of these emotions that you might have going on, that maybe you need to say goodbye to an old goal, uh, or if you are ruminating on conflict, maybe write a letter expressing your feelings of what you would say to that person. I don't generally advise to like re-engage, but you could also channel this into creative writing. You could write a short story of how you wish things would have played out to help, give some catharsis to those feelings. You can write poetry. It can be as sad, as dark, as happy as you want it to be. It can be anything. Something to take those feelings, take those thoughts, ruminations, energies out of your head and transmute them onto paper. And there's something in that action that releases them because it materializes them out of your psyche. I've been slowly but surely doing a 30-day poetry challenge. 30-day. I just took the prompts from the meme and I'm trying to write one poem a week. So it lasts me, most of the year. Just the one meme. This is the Moonology deck. We'll get a card for, this will be like the background energy for the ego side. This could also be timing, just because of the nature of this deck too. And since it's on the more external part of the psyche, that is fitting too, that it could turn out to be timing. That didn't work. energy is gaining momentum. Waxing moon. Interesting. I'm feeling this more, this position. Because this may change as a result of what's going on here in the ego. So this could be cooking, whatever journey that the Three of Wands guy is looking out towards, looking to the horizon for. That could be building momentum. Potentially by the next waxing moon. So there's a little bit of time until the next waxing moon that could give something to focus on from the Hanged Man of, releasing rigid thought patterns. And releasing those rigid thought patterns could help free this path forward, or help you see the material realm in a different way. Because we mostly talked about finances specifically, but it's not necessarily just finances, it's materials. There's a lot more to materials than just money. Money's a big part of it, don't get me wrong. But one of those bad habits developed, by being broke most of my life is like I anticipate my needs rather than respond to my needs. And certain things are a necessity for that, like staples and whatnot around the apartment, but not everything is. Like, it's a habit I've developed from, I don't know when this money's going to leave, so I'm going to use it now. And I'm well prepared if, we get snowed in again like it did last week, which is good. That's a good thing. That's a positive. And appropriate when there's impending snow. There's not always impending snow. So, I don't know. Let's grab a rune. Mm. I recognize that one, but I don't remember the name. I know this one, there's debate of, I wonder if the camera's going to pick that up. But if there's actually a reversed meaning or not. Because it's not exactly, I mean, I don't know if I would read this as having a reverse at all. But let's see. What's that called? Nothes. Now these. There we go. Now these. So need, necessity. Okay. Keywords: need, necessity, scarcity, absence, restriction, have patience. Primary themes. Nauthiz signifies hardship in the form of one's needs not being met. So the survival mode that we were talking about. Whether this indicates poverty, hunger, unemployment, lack of good health, or lack of emotional support. The rune stave represents the need fire, a ritual fire lit from two large beams of wood that ancient northern Europeans would light in times of extreme hardship or disaster, such as a famine or outbreak of fatal disease. You may be experiencing hardship that limits your ability to move forward or live comfortably. That this energy, the inability to move forward, or a strong desire that appears impossible to fulfill. The possibilities are restricted due to your lack of resources, and you are likely chafing at the constraints and or disheartened by your circumstances. The Anglo-Saxon rune poem describes Nauthiz as a tight band across the chest, which is often how need and restriction feel. So you might be struggling with some anxiety over resources. So that Ace of Pentacles in reverse. And that could also be like, say the best happens and you get more resources than you know what to do with. I'd probably have a panic attack. Like if I suddenly had everything I need met, because I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I've not had that. It's always been a constant, like, there's always been a gap somewhere. Yeah. So the concept of bad stress versus good stress, both cause stress. That's an interesting distinction. This may be a warning to avoid greed or unhealthy desire, which can lead to destructive behaviors and negative consequences. If you have been focusing too heavily on the material world, this is a sign to go within and tend to your spiritual development. Magical uses: protection, maintaining equanimity in difficult circumstances, activates magical workings focused on attraction or increase. I think that was a really synchronous rune to pull for this reading for things that are transforming, and very wise too, to avoid greed and unhealthy desire. So if you win it big, take a big old pause on any big purchases, heck, even addressing large amount of debt, like things like that. Like, just breathe. Let it sit, you know. It'll be fine where it is for the moment. Because you might be able to negotiate debt down if you get the opportunity to pay it off in a lump sum. So that would be something to consider. And those negotiations will go better if you are calm. First house. That's what popped out. Speaking of, or right as I said, if you're calm. So beginnings, identity, appearance, and the body. And so that would be your Aries placement as well, which the wand energy, fire, but the Three of Wands specifically has that Aries association. Telling an Aries to be calm. Do you have a death wish? Let's see. Oh, Aries. Okay. Well, maybe you do have a death wish. Very, very synchronous. I love the color of this die. Emerald green. So lots of Aries. All right, give me a Mars. Give me a Mars. Okay. Oh, no Mars. Helios. So Apollo. There might be some mythological associations that could be important to you. Um, and this was a full moon reading, and very, I want to say, masculine vibes here in the way the dice rolled with first house Aries and Helios. So that could be indicating a need to balance the yin and yang of self. Find there's a variety of ways to do that. There are specific types of yoga, like yin yoga, that you can do, and then you can also do something very external to process yang energy. I know I've recommended this before, but uh, axe throwing, you don't need to be super fit to do that. It's really easy to pick up, but something to, get moving. And creative energy too is that yang outward energy. Yin is more receptive. So we'll get a couple of self-care cards and get you out of here. An interruption from my alarm. My reminder. So don't forget to take care of yourselves. Don't forget to take your medication. Titans. That came up in the last reading too. I guess that's the show to watch is Titans. Huh. And I'm not going to complain. I really like that show. It's on HBO. It's the adult Robin story. And we've got a song, Laid to Rest by Lamb of God. That is very, very yang. Definitely going to process some energy that way. So if you've got some pent up energy, this is an excellent recommendation to help move some of that along. You could even, if you've got a lot of that built up yang energy, you could go to one of those rage rooms where they let you pick the playlist, toss on some Lamb of God and go to town. So overall, looks like we've got a lot of things transforming, a lot of motion, some things to reflect on. Maybe think about that, some writing exercises to process. This might be where you process the yin energy from the shadow side, is with some writing exercises. So I hope this helps. I hope this resonates, and if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.